Welcome to the deep dive. We are diving straight into the essentials of a flourishing human life today. So, you're here because you want to get to the heart of the matter, really understand what matters. And we've done a lot of work, gone through so much material, looking at everything from physical well-being to how we find meaning in life. I'm excited to share this all with you today.
It's about extracting the most important insights from all of this research. We're not going to overwhelm you. Instead, we'll connect the dots and show you how all these different aspects create a life that's both rich and meaningful. It's like a blueprint for living well, based on what we've learned.
Okay, I like that, a blueprint. And I think the best place to start building is with the foundation, right? Our physical health. It's interesting, going through the material, it became really clear that it's not just about avoiding illness. It's about achieving this state of complete physical vitality, which allows you to really fully engage with life.
That's exactly it. It's the bedrock, isn't it? Everything else builds on this idea of physical health. And one of the most important elements of this foundation has got to be nutrition. We are what we eat, as they say. And, it's not about obsessing over calories. It's about understanding that food is fuel. It's the building blocks for our bodies and minds. And what we put in really affects how well we function, no matter what stage of life we're in.
It's incredible how directly what we eat impacts us, right? Not just our energy levels for things like exercise, but our mental sharpness, our mood, everything. And the interesting thing is, when you look at all the research, the core principles of a balanced diet come up time and time again. It's pretty universal, isn't it? Lots of fruits and vegetables, 5 portions a day is what they say, but making sure you get lots of variety too, all the colors of the rainbow, that kind of thing. And then you've got your higher fiber carbohydrates, the good stuff like whole wheat pasta, brown rice, potatoes with the skin on, those complex carbs that give you sustained energy.
Absolutely. And, there's so much agreement on these basics. It's not just one study or one expert. You look at major health organizations around the world, and they're all singing from the same hymn sheet, so to speak. We're talking about incorporating dairy or plant-based alternatives, depending on your preference. Good sources of protein, like beans, lentils, eggs, and lean meats. And being mindful of the fats we consume, right? Opting for those unsaturated oils and really minimizing added sugars, the saturated fats, the sodium, and trans fats. Basically, centering our diets around whole, unprocessed foods as much as possible.
Makes sense, right? Real food. You know what you're getting. And then we have to move, right? Shifting from what we put in our bodies to how we actually move them. It's striking how much emphasis is placed on exercise in the research. Regular physical activity is really presented as one of the most powerful things we can do for our health, and it's not just about fitting into those genes.
Oh, absolutely. The benefits are huge. Yeah, weight control is part of it, but it's so much bigger than that, isn't it? It's about reducing our risk of all sorts of chronic diseases. It lifts our mood, boosts our energy, helps us sleep better. Some sources even suggest it can improve your sex life. And the impact on mental health, for things like anxiety and depression, it's really significant.
You don't have to become an Olympian, though, do you? You don't have to be running marathons every weekend. The recommendations for most adults, at least what I've seen across the board, seem to be at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity or 75 minutes of the more vigorous stuff every week. And then you add in some muscle strengthening exercises at least twice a week, hitting all the major muscle groups. Moderate intensity, that's where you can talk, but not really sing, right? And then vigorous, it's more like, can you even hold a conversation?
That's a good way to think about it. And the great thing is, it doesn't have to be all at once. The research actually emphasizes that even small amounts of activity spread throughout the day can make a real difference. And incorporating different types of exercise is also beneficial. You've got your endurance activities, things like running or swimming, strength training, of course, but also exercises for balance and flexibility. They all play a role. The takeaway is that any movement is better than no movement, really.
So we're fueling our bodies well, we're moving them regularly. What else is essential? Sleep, of course. It's something we all do or should be doing. And the material we looked at, it really highlighted that sleep is not just passive rest, just lying there doing nothing. It's a truly active and crucial biological process.
It's amazing to think that how much our bodies are doing while we sleep. It's essential for healthy brain function, maintaining physical health in so many ways, supporting growth and development, particularly in younger people. Sleep helps consolidate our memories, boosts our immune system, and facilitates all sorts of healing and repair processes. It's like, our body's overnight maintenance crew, getting everything back in order. And when we consistently don't get enough good quality sleep, it really can have some serious consequences. You increase your risk of things like heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and it can trigger all sorts of mental health issues.
And 7 to 8 hours seems to be the magic number for most adults, doesn't it? That's what comes up again and again. And the sources also talk about the importance of consistency, trying to keep a regular sleep-wake cycle and making sure your sleep environment is restful, cool, dark, quiet, all of that, and avoiding things like caffeine before bed.
It's about prioritizing sleep as a necessity, not a luxury, making it a non-negotiable part of your routine. And then the final piece of the puzzle when it comes to physical health, the proactive element, preventative care. It's not just about seeing the doctor when you're sick. It's about taking steps to stay healthy in the first place.
Exactly. It's that proactive approach. And regular checkups, even when you feel fine, are so valuable. It allows for screening for potential issues early on, identifying risk factors, and having those important conversations with the doctor about lifestyle choices. And that can have a huge impact on your long-term health, right?
The scope of preventative care is quite broad, really. We're talking about routine screenings for conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, as well as various types of cancer. And then there's the routine vaccinations, things like influenza, COVID-19, hepatitis B, HPV, shingles. The key thing to remember is that the recommendations for these things, they're not one size fits all, right? They're often tailored to your individual circumstances. Your age, sex, medical history, lifestyle, all of that plays a part.
And it's not just tests and jabs, is it? Preventative care also includes counseling and guidance on those crucial lifestyle factors. Things like quitting smoking, managing your weight, adopting healthier eating habits. It's a reminder that you have a lot of control over your own long-term well-being. You're not just a passive recipient of whatever health you get dealt. You can make choices to improve things.
Absolutely. You're an active participant in your health journey. And by focusing on prevention, you have the potential to not only improve your long-term health outcomes, but also reduce your overall healthcare costs down the line. It's a win-win. So that's the foundation, the robust base of physical health. But equally vital is what's happening internally, nurturing your mental well-being.
Couldn't agree more. It's interesting how the research really emphasizes that mental well-being is every bit as critical as physical health. It encompasses your emotional, psychological, and social well-being. And it really influences everything, doesn't it? How you think, how you feel, how you cope with stress, how you build relationships. And just like with physical health, there are things you can do, strategies you can employ to actively cultivate your mental well-being. Things like stress management, mindfulness, and emotional regulation. These come up again and again.
Stress is something we all experience. It's part of being human. But what matters is how we manage it. The research really highlights that prolonged or excessive stress can be really detrimental to our health. So developing healthy coping mechanisms is key. And this involves a combination of lifestyle adjustments, relaxation techniques, and some useful cognitive strategies. It's about having a whole toolkit of things you can do when you're feeling stressed.
And the suggestions are really practical, aren't they? It's not all esoteric, out there stuff. Things like making sure you get enough sleep, which we just talked about, engaging in regular physical activity, again, reinforcing that link between physical and mental health, maintaining a nutritious diet, being mindful of things like alcohol intake and avoiding substance use. And then you've got your relaxation techniques, deep breathing, stretching, meditation. Even something as simple as spending time in nature can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And there are so many different things that work for different people. Cultivating gratitude, connecting with supportive people in your life, doing things you enjoy, hobbies, passions. These all help to reduce stress. It's about finding what works for you, identifying your personal triggers, and having those strategies in place to deal with stress effectively.
So important. Now, mindfulness is another concept that comes up a lot when we're talking about mental well-being. For someone who might not be familiar with mindfulness, how would you explain it? What does it mean to be mindful?
It's about being present, really. Intentionally focusing your awareness on the present moment without any judgment. You're not getting swept away by your thoughts or feelings or getting caught up in overanalyzing things. You're simply observing what's happening, both internally and externally, with a sense of acceptance and curiosity. Practices like meditation, focusing on your breath, even mindful movement like yoga, these can all help you cultivate this ability to be present.
And the benefits for mental health are pretty impressive. Reduced anxiety, reduced symptoms of depression, better management of difficult thoughts and emotions, a sense of calm and well-being, improved attention and concentration. It's almost like mindfulness is a superpower, isn't it?
In a way, it is, and the great thing is, it's not something that requires hours of practice every day. You can integrate mindfulness into your everyday life just by bringing more awareness to simple activities, like eating a meal, taking a walk, having a conversation. Even little moments of mindful attention throughout your day can make a real difference.
Okay, so we're managing stress, we're cultivating mindfulness. What's the third key component of inner well-being? Emotional regulation. That sounds like a big one.
It is. It's essentially the ability to understand, experience, and express your emotions in healthy and appropriate ways. It's not about suppressing your feelings or denying them. It's about having a greater sense of control over how you experience and express them.
So how do you do that? How do you develop these emotional regulation skills?
There are several key strategies. First, you need to be able to identify your triggers. What are the things that tend to provoke strong emotional responses in you? And then pay attention to your body, those physical sensations that often accompany your emotions. They can give you early warning signs that you might be getting triggered. And then challenge those negative thought patterns that often fuel negative emotions. Practice positive self-talk. And mindfulness and acceptance come into play here too, even when you're feeling those uncomfortable emotions. It's about choosing how you respond rather than simply reacting impulsively.
It sounds like emotional regulation is really about developing inner strength and emotional resilience.
Precisely. It helps you cope with life's challenges, strengthens your relationships, and just generally improves your overall well-being. So we've explored the foundations of physical and mental health. Now let's shift gears and talk about getting things done, about cultivating that sense of accomplishment and progress in our lives. The principles of productivity.
And when we talk about productivity, it's important to note that it's not just about work, right? The material we looked at, it really takes a more holistic view. It's about effectively using your time and energy to achieve meaningful goals in all areas of your life. That's what ultimately gives you that sense of satisfaction, that feeling of moving forward.
Exactly. It's about aligning your actions with your values and priorities. And one of the cornerstones of productivity is time management. Being intentional and conscious about how you spend your time, organizing and planning your day so you can make the most of it. And that ultimately reduces stress and overwhelm.
So what are some practical strategies for improving time management? What does that look like in real life?
Well, setting clear priorities is essential. You need to know what's truly important and focus on those things first. And breaking down large, overwhelming tasks into smaller, more manageable steps can make a huge difference. Using tools like calendars and to-do lists to stay organized is really helpful, minimizing distractions as much as possible. And two things that are often overlooked: learning to delegate tasks to others when it's appropriate, and learning to say no to things that don't align with your priorities.
Those are big ones, aren't they? Learning to say no. And delegating, it's about being protective of your time and energy, making sure they're going towards the things that truly matter. And closely linked to time management is goal setting.
Absolutely. Setting goals gives you direction and purpose. It helps you focus your efforts. And the research suggests that having goals, particularly meaningful and achievable goals, really contributes to your overall sense of well-being. It's about having something to strive for, something to work towards.
And what's the best way to set goals? How do you make sure you actually achieve them?
You need to be specific. The more specific the goal, the better. Instead of saying, I want to get fit, you might say, I want to be able to run a 5K in under 30 minutes by the end of the year. That's a specific goal, and it's measurable. You know exactly when you've achieved it. It's also important to make sure your goals are attainable and relevant to you. There's no point setting a goal that's completely out of reach or that you don't really care about. And finally, it needs to be time-bound. Set yourself a deadline. That gives you something to work towards.
So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Those are the key ingredients of a good goal. And it's not just about setting them and forgetting about them, is it?
No, you need to review your goals regularly and track your progress. That helps you stay motivated and make any necessary adjustments along the way. And the act of achieving those goals, no matter how big or small, it boosts your self-esteem and gives you that feeling of accomplishment, that sense of, I did it, I can achieve things.
That's so important, that sense of self-efficacy. And then alongside managing your time and setting goals, there's the whole area of your daily work habits. These can have a big impact on your productivity too.
Absolutely. Creating a dedicated and focused work environment is really important. minimizing distractions, whether it's turning off your phone or finding a quiet place to work. And there are all sorts of techniques you can use to improve your concentration. Things like the Pomodoro technique, where you work in focused bursts with short breaks in between. Prioritizing your tasks is key too. Do the most important things first when you're feeling most alert and focused. And remember to take regular breaks, even short ones, to avoid burnout.
So it's about being intentional and mindful about how you approach your work, and not just working harder, but working smarter, right?
Exactly. Working smarter, not harder. And always be open to learning and improving. Ask for feedback, learn from your mistakes, and keep experimenting to find what works best for you.
I like that. Now, let's shift gears again and talk about something that's absolutely fundamental to our happiness and well-being as social beings: relationships. The material we looked at really emphasizes that we're hardwired for connection and that having strong, supportive relationships is crucial for our overall well-being.
We are social creatures, aren't we? We thrive on connection. And those positive relationships with family, friends, romantic partners, our wider community, they give us so much. Support, companionship, a sense of belonging. And at the heart of any healthy relationship is effective communication.
Our sources really hammer that home, don't they? Effective communication is essential. It's not just about speaking your mind, it's also about listening, really trying to understand the other person's perspective. What are some key communication skills we should be focusing on?
Well, using I statements is a great way to communicate your perspective without blaming the other person. Saying, I feel this way, rather than, you made me feel this way. Empathy is crucial too. Being able to put yourself in the other person's shoes to see things from their point of view. Asking clarifying questions can be really helpful to make sure you've understood correctly. And being aware of your own nonverbal communication, as well as the other person's. Are you sending mixed messages? Are you really listening? All of this matters.
It sounds like a lot to think about, but it's about being more mindful and intentional in our communication, isn't it?
It is. And the result is stronger, more resilient relationships. Because even in the healthiest of relationships, disagreements and conflicts will happen. It's inevitable.
So how do we handle conflict effectively? How do we prevent it from damaging those important relationships?
The research suggests that the way we approach conflict makes all the difference. It's about focusing on finding solutions that work for everyone involved, not about trying to win the argument. And that starts with staying calm and composed, even when you're feeling angry or upset. Actively listen to the other person's perspective. Really try to understand where they're coming from. And then work together to identify the core issues and brainstorm solutions. Be willing to compromise. And always, always prioritize the relationship itself, even when you disagree.
Conflict can actually be an opportunity to strengthen a relationship, can't it, if you approach it the right way?
Absolutely. It's about seeing conflict as a chance to understand each other better, to find common ground, and to ultimately make the relationship even stronger. So we've talked about physical health, mental health, productivity, and relationships. Now let's talk about another crucial aspect of well-being, financial well-being. It's something that can cause a lot of stress and anxiety, but there are things we can do to feel more secure and in control of our finances. And it all starts with financial literacy.
Understanding how money works, basically.
Exactly. And the material we looked at, it breaks financial literacy down into several key areas: budgeting, saving, investing, and managing debt. These are the pillars of financial well-being.
And it all starts with the budget, right? Having a clear picture of where your money is going.
A budget is like a roadmap for your finances. It helps you track your income and expenses so you can make informed decisions about how you're spending your money. It's about taking control of your finances rather than letting your finances control you.
And how detailed does a budget need to be?
It depends on your personality and preferences. Some people like to track every penny, others take a more general approach, but at the very least, you need to know how much money is coming in and where it's going. And that involves listing all your income sources and categorizing your expenses, whether they're fixed costs like rent or mortgage payments, or variable costs like groceries and entertainment. And remember, your budget should be a living document. You need to review it regularly and make adjustments as needed.
So you're not just creating a budget once and then forgetting about it. It's an ongoing process.
It is. It's about staying engaged with your finances and making sure they're working for you. And once you have a clear picture of your income and expenses, the next step is saving.
Saving is so important, isn't it? But it can be hard, especially when you're feeling financially stretched.
It can be, but even small amounts saved regularly can add up over time. And having savings gives you a sense of security. You have a cushion if unexpected expenses come up, and it allows you to work towards those bigger financial goals like buying a home, starting a business, or retiring comfortably.
What are some good strategies for saving?
Set yourself clear savings goals. How much do you want to save each month, each year? And then automate it as much as possible. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings account. That way you don't even have to think about it. And then look for ways to cut back on unnecessary spending. Do you really need that daily latte? Could you pack your lunch a few times a week instead of eating out? Little things add up.
It's about making those conscious choices, isn't it? And then for those who are looking to grow their wealth over the long term, there's investing.
Investing is a powerful tool for building wealth over time, but it can seem intimidating, especially if you're new to it.
What are the basics? What do people need to know about investing?
Well, first, understand that investing involves risk. You could lose money. But over the long term, the potential rewards can be significant. There are different types of investments, each with its own level of risk and potential return. Things like stocks, bonds, real estate. Diversification is key, spreading your investments across different asset classes to reduce risk. And if you're not sure where to start, seek advice from a qualified financial advisor. They can help you create an investment strategy that aligns with your goals and risk tolerance.
So it's not about getting rich quick, is it? It's about making smart, informed decisions and playing the long game.
Exactly. Slow and steady wins the race, as they say. And then, on the flip side of building wealth, there's managing debt.
Debt can be a huge source of stress, can't it?
It absolutely can. So it's important to be proactive and develop a strategy for managing and reducing debt. Start by understanding the terms and interest rates of your debts. Prioritize paying off high interests first to minimize the amount of interest you accrue over time. And explore options like debt consolidation or refinancing to see if they could help lower your monthly payments or interest rates.
It sounds like it's all about taking control, isn't it? Understanding your situation and making informed decisions.
It is. And being responsible with your finances, avoiding unnecessary debt in the first place, and always making payments on time. Those are key habits to develop.
Okay, so we've covered a lot: physical health, mental health, productivity, relationships, finances. Now let's talk about personal safety and security.
Ensuring your safety and the safety of your loved ones, both in the physical world and online, is another crucial aspect of well-being.
So let's start with home security. What are some practical steps we can take to make our homes safer?
Well, first and foremost, make sure you have working smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, and test them regularly. It's amazing how many people neglect this. Secure your doors and windows with sturdy locks, and consider other security measures like a home security system or cameras if you feel it's necessary. Good lighting, both inside and out, can also deter crime. And be mindful of who you let into your home. Don't open the door to strangers, and be cautious about sharing your keys.
It's about being aware of your surroundings and taking those basic precautions.
And it's a good idea to have an emergency plan in place. What would you do in case of a fire? A break-in. Talk it through with your family or housemates.
Those are all great tips. And then there's online safety, which is more important than ever these days.
Absolutely. The online world could be a wonderful place, but it also has its risks. So it's crucial to be aware of those risks and take steps to protect yourself.
Like what?
Well, use strong, unique passwords for all your online accounts. And be wary of clicking on unfamiliar links or opening suspicious emails. Keep your computer's operating system and antivirus software up to date. Understand the privacy settings on social media and other online platforms. Be mindful of how much personal information you share online. And learn about common online scams and phishing tactics. Knowledge is power in this area.
It's about being savvy and taking those precautions. And it's an ongoing process, isn't it? Staying informed about new threats and vulnerabilities.
It is. You can't just set it and forget it. You need to stay vigilant. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from physical and mental health to productivity, relationships, finances, and personal safety. But there's one more essential element we need to talk about, and that's finding meaning and purpose in life.
This is the big one, isn't it? What's it all about? Why are we here?
It's the question we all grapple with at some point, and the research suggests that having a sense of meaning and purpose is crucial for our overall well-being. It gives us direction, motivation, and a sense of fulfillment.
So how do we find meaning and purpose? Where do we start?
A good place to start is by identifying your core values. What's truly important to you? What do you stand for? What do you want to contribute to the world? Once you have a clear understanding of your values, you can start making choices that align with them.
So our values can guide us towards a more meaningful life.
Exactly. And then there's the importance of pursuing your passions. What are you truly passionate about? What makes you come alive? What brings you joy? Make time for those things. They nourish your soul and add richness to your life.
And it's not just about what we get from those passions, is it? It's also about what we contribute to the world.
Absolutely. Contributing to something bigger than ourselves can be incredibly fulfilling, whether it's volunteering our time, donating to a cause we believe in, or simply being kind and helpful to others. Making a positive difference in the world, no matter how small, can give our lives a sense of meaning and purpose.
And finally, there's the importance of lifelong learning.
In a world that's constantly changing, it's more important than ever to be a lifelong learner. to be curious, to be open to new ideas and experiences, to keep growing and evolving.
It's about embracing that growth mindset, isn't it? Never stop learning, never stop exploring. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that a truly flourishing life is multifaceted. It's about tending to all these different areas of our lives, weaving them together into a cohesive whole.
It's a journey, not a destination, and it requires ongoing effort and attention.
But the rewards are immeasurable. A life that's full of meaning, purpose, joy, and connection. That's what we're all striving for, isn't it?
It is, and the great thing is, even small, consistent steps can make a big difference. So our final thought for you, our listener, as you reflect on all these different aspects of a flourishing life, what resonates most strongly with you? What might you want to explore further? What might you want to focus on strengthening in your own life? It's your journey. Make it a beautiful one.
This is DigitView.